Yeah.
She's not going to do.
Right.
Go to school, not going to do it.
See, Grace can't come to grips with that.
Okay. So, second part of our presentation tonight is Home Modification Loan Program, HMLP. We actually put it together, and we're doing this because we have a workshop coming up, and I'll talk about it at the end of the program. But with acronyms, I said they need to come up with a game. How many acronyms are there? Thousands, and not just for this field, but for everything. But anyways, that's HMLP, and it's a wonderful program because it provides loans to homeowners to do what? Make modifications to your residence. So if you own and you have a child or an adult, or you are a senior over 65 years old and you need a portion or a part of your home modified because of a disability or an age-related disability, there is a program in Massachusetts that allows you to get up to $30,000 to make that modification. Who could do it? Any homeowner 65 years or older, any homeowner who has a disability, any homeowner who has a household member who is an elder or has a disability. So if you live with mom, dad, nana, papa, child, adult, it doesn't matter. That all comes within the purview of this wonderful program. Landlords who have fewer than 10 units may also be eligible. That's kind of a, hold that out there because that's a little bit more maneuvering, but if you're in that situation, something I'm happy to talk about with you. Again, it's based on income guidelines. You can borrow between $1,000 to $30,000, but the income guidelines are high. I'm not talking 20, 30, they're high, and you can get the money. Similar sort of Mass Health. So you buy it, you borrow it, and it's what they call a deferred payment loan, or it's amortized. And the pay loan, but again, from what I showed you, it's the percentage in and of itself is very minimal, considering how much a short-term loan might be for a bank or even for a credit card. And so it's a wonderful thing if you're in a position of living with somebody that needs something in their home renovated. A client come in, their basement really was just, I mean, the child had asthma, pretty severe asthma, and the basement had, you know, like, yeah, mold and just a whole series of things. And so they were able to get the whole thing cleaned out, redone. It's fantastic. And now the child has an area to go down, hang out, and can breathe, thank God. So those are just some small examples. Anything you can think of. And again, it can be a senior. You live with mom and dad. And just a program that most people don't know about that even exists out there in Massachusetts. So, any questions on that?
If you have, like in my daughter's case, because of she has can be on like the obese side, and one of the things it's very hard to try to bring her somewhere and gym and stuff like that. Could I actually apply for taking and building a room above the garage, which would be almost like a physical exercise gym room?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic idea. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can get a physical therapist that works for an occupational therapist, anybody that has treated her and said this will be good for her health. Absolutely.
So a primary care could do it too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The list, and I'm saying physical therapist because I'm saying the list is very broad. A mental health specialist. If, you know, if she saw a mental health specialist, this is good for her mental health. The provider piece is not the difficult piece. The more difficult piece is like anything else. When you're doing construction, you want to find a good contractor. So they do provide a list, but that doesn't mean that you can't find your own contractor. That is the more, if you've ever had anything done in your house, even if it's painting, you need to find the right person. But that should not stop anybody, because people get things done in their house all the time. And if you're getting $30,000 to do it with, you know, relatively, you know, easy payback terms, if no payback terms, in certain extent, it just goes.
Does it require like multiple estimates from certified contractors?
No, you just need one. You just get the one from anybody that's certified. You can get as many as you want, because you want to get the best deal, obviously, because if your project's going to cost 50 grand, the state's going to give you 30, right? But you got to pick up that other 20. So it behooves you to get the best contractor. And there's a bid form. They'll fill it out. They'll sign it. You submit it with your application. So you've got your medical provider, health provider, You've got your bid form from your contractor, you've got the application, which is not nearly as long or as encompassing as the Mass Health. So it's a much simpler application, which is kind of a nice thing, and it's fantastic, and I don't think a lot of people know that this even exists.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Any other questions? So we're hosting this fantastic complimentary workshop, March 31st at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel. And breakfast is served, and we're going to speak on everything having to do with transitional planning. So what does that look like? Employment opportunities, housing. 50,000 students each year are graduating that are on the autism spectrum. Where are they going? What are they doing? How do we as a community work together? What does SSI look like? What does SSDI look like?
Yep.
How do we protect government benefits? Hugely important, because it's a lifelong of care. And so, love to have all of you. Very simple, just go on to our website, Lady Law Workshop, register, it's complimentary. I have 2 other fantastic attorneys that are gonna be speaking alongside me and going through their specialty. One of them is actually specializes in special education law, and so he will be talking a little bit about what that next step looks like. The other one, who specializes in SSI and SSDI, will talk about what that process is. She's done it for about 30 years, and I'm gonna be talking about on what I do, which is guardianships, conservatorships, and special needs trusts, and what that piece looks like. And we're gonna have vendors, like we always do for the special needs community, so you'll get to talk to people out there that are working together to really help all of us transition through, like I say, with the phases of our loved ones' lives with integrity.
When is this workshop?
It's March 31st.
And there's a flyer in your packet that's right at the back. Okay, you just have to register, just because seats are limited and we need to count for breakfast, but it's, it's totally complimentary, there's no charge, you'll go home with a workbook that last time was 100 pages.
And people have been using it like the Bible, they've been telling me, they have it all around, I've had other clients say, we have it in our office, we use it like the Bible, we go through everything. And so it's incredibly informative, and it's a great way to provide certain pieces of information that I feel is getting lost in translation of the 87,000 pages of rules and regulations of the Federal Register, and Massachusetts, that's another story, don't get me started with that. But we can do it together with knowledge, and so that's what this little presentation was about today, and what this wonderful workshop will be about on March 31st. Yeah, special needs trusts, which is one of the areas that I focus in on. If you have a special needs loved one, and they are entitled to SSI, they are entitled to Mass Health, you need to think about having a trust. You don't want them to lose any of their really important government benefits. And so that way, when you transition onward and upward, you've got a place to put money for the rest of their life, for their care, for all of the wonderful things that make their life so special. Whether that's going to the movies, whether that's taking trips, whether that's phone bills, cable bills, whatever helps to make their life better, that's not food or shelter, which you can get through these services like SSI, SSDI, and Mass Health like medical care, Section 8 housing. Those things will be protected. Otherwise, if they have money that's coming to them directly from an inheritance, even from, let's say, God forbid, a personal injury situation. I have a lot of clients who come in for one reason or another. They might have been part of like a class action where, one of my clients, his daughter has Down syndrome. She had epileptic seizures from medication that she took, and she was part of a class action, and she got a large sum of money, and we had to set up a trust. Because if we didn't set up the trust to put the money in, for her to administer, to make her daughter's life everything she wanted, she would have lost her SSI. She would have lost her Mass Health and her Section 8 housing. And we don't want to see that happen, because again, it's a lifelong, kind of care. So I can't stress enough that it's something that you need to do. And happy to sit down with anybody that wants to talk about it and talk about a little bit of your own planning. One of our, he won't be there this time, unfortunately, but he's fantastic. Frank Morgan, who does long-term care planning, because his whole thing is, who's going to take care of you? That's his whole part. So he's always talking to a lot of my senior clients, and I always say on my talk show, 90 is the new 70, but there still has to be a process thinking about, you yourself at some point may need care, so how do you think about that piece of it? And I love that he brings that in, because as a special need mom, dad, sister, brother, whatever you are, you always seem to put that loved one first, and that's fine, that's wonderful, but at some point, there still has to be an effort to look back in and say, okay, well, how do I manage through my own phases? And so that's a piece that kind of gets missed, and he's fantastic, so if anybody wants his information, I'm happy to give that to you as well. Any questions? All right, thank you so much. I hope everybody comes to the workshop.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.